Welcome to the Mind Medicine Podcast. My name is Brandt McCartney. I am the founder and chief vulnerability officer of Mission 38, which is a nonprofit in memory of my brother, United States Marine Corps Captain Matthew Brewer, who died by suicide in 2021. In response to losing him, we created Mission 38, and our mission is twofold. The first is to challenge the stigma associated with asking for help. And the second piece is to provide tools to veterans that increase brain health. So what gives me the right to be the host of a podcast called Mind Medicine? I have no formal education in mental or brain health, but what I do have is personal experience. I lost my brother and my best friend to suicide, and I myself almost took my life. So I've had to learn the strength of vulnerability and asking for help. And I had to implement tools and find tools that increase brain health. Brain injuries and mental health are exactly that. It is health, and with health, it can be improved. And brain injuries are an injury like any other injury, which can be fixed. Mind medicine is not medical advice. It is my experiences and the experiences of my guests that have gotten them through their darkest times. So please consult your healthcare provider, your doctor, if you're going to try anything that is said during this podcast. All right, so for today's podcast, we wanted to discuss why the change in the name from the 38 Challenge to Mind Medicine. We want to walk through the Mission 38 restructure. So the name of the entire entity will be called Mission 38, and the 38 Challenge will be a subset program underneath that. And lastly, we will kind of tease some of our upcoming topics and guests. So first, we'll start with Mission 38. So the name of the 501c3 organization, which is now the 38 Challenge, will now become Mission 38. Underneath that, our fitness and empowerment program will be the 38 Challenge. Nothing will change. We will still have events. We will still continue to build events, continue to grow events, because we have seen firsthand that these events save lives. We also have more programs that we'll be introducing this week. So we have the Cold Therapy Initiative, which is in partnership with Ice Barrel, where we will be giving ice barrels to veterans for free so that they can experience the benefits of cold therapy on their mental health. And then we'll be following up with their anxiety and depression scores so we can be the first organization that quantifies the effects of cold exposure on depression and anxiety. We also have the Brain Optimization Lab. So the Brain Optimization Lab is our way of educating veterans on different modules of brain health, and then with providing them financial support in order to implement those tools in real life. So we'll have a virtual platform and a virtual campaign, and we'll also be having people in person at our headquarters in Dallas, Texas, so they can go through treatment of emerging therapies, talk therapy, psychiatric medication if they need it for a season, et cetera. So really the purpose of this headquarters is to be a response to the system which has failed veterans thus far. 50% of veterans even ask for help. 18% of those veterans get quote unquote minimally adequate treatment. 1 in every 3 veterans are prescribed 10 or more pharmaceutical drugs. So what does minimally adequate treatment mean? Does it mean that you're given 10 different medications and you're a zombie? We don't know, right? So really 9% of veterans are getting quote unquote minimally adequate treatment. This place, Mission 38, is our response to that. So what will happen, veterans will come in here, we'll do a brutal 38-minute workout. They will have a therapy session with our director of programs, Dr. Jess Garza. Ben Smith, our director of mindset and exposure, will be walking them through breath work and contrast therapy. They'll have the opportunity to do different emerging therapies from testosterone replacement to ketamine treatment, et cetera, right? Things that are legal and supported with research, but a lot of the times veterans don't have access to them or they can't afford them. We will be filling that gap here at headquarters. So that's kind of all the really exciting updates for Mission 38. This has been going on in the background for a long time. We have a very talented team to help us execute on our vision of eliminating suicide. And we are excited for you guys to come on this journey with us. So why change the name from the 38 Challenge podcast to Mind Medicine? We want to start to diversify our portfolio. Also, the name Mind Medicine obviously makes a lot more sense than the 38 Challenge, a lot less questions about, what it is that we do. And also some of the things that we've talked about in the past can be polarizing, right? They can create turmoil. We totally believe in having hard, uncomfortable conversations in a respectful way, where both parties feel like they're being heard. However, we do not want to attach any opinion or any view or any scientific research that is in question to our nonprofit organization, which is Mission 38. Everything we do for Mission 38 is proven by science, done by professionals, and we never reinvent the wheel on anything. So everything that is said on this podcast, if it's about psychedelics, if it's about religion, those are my opinions, the opinions of my guests. These opinions are separate from Mission 38. So that was kind of the reason behind changing the name to Mind Medicine. We will still be having the same vulnerable, raw conversations. We will still be having the top experts in the world come in to talk about ways to increase brain health. It just won't be underneath the 38 Challenge umbrella anymore. But things to look forward to. We have a podcast episode with David Vibora, the founder of the Adaptive Training Foundation. He just competed in the Leadville 100, has an incredible story, is an incredible person. So that will be released next week. We also have the Center for Brain Health here at the University of Texas in Dallas. We'll be having a conversation with a few of their PhDs on spiritual fitness, and because there's mental fitness, there's physical fitness, and they're kind of testing the waters on spiritual fitness and what does that look like. And we'll also be having a conversation on how do you have uncomfortable, polarizing conversations without creating a divided culture, right? Because so many people in America nowadays hear something in the news and then they just believe it is truth without really understanding why they even believe that, right? So the purpose of that podcast will be to arm people with different tactics and different tools in order to have actually productive conversations instead of just, pointless debates and arguments. So those are a couple of the ones coming up. We have some really exciting events coming up, Las Vegas for Veterans Day, Army Navy again, and then we will be doing a lot more events in 2024. And then this is kind of the first ever time we've announced the cold therapy partnership with Ice Barrel, which is the first study that will ever be done that quantifies what we already know of the effects of cold exposure in the brain: increase in dopamine, increase in resiliency, a decrease in anxiety, an increase in mood. We know all these things to be proven by science, but there's no study out there quantifying how effective that it is, and we are going to fill that gap. At the same time, we will be creating the content for our brain optimization lab. We'll be finding different brands who will partner with us on that, so we can provide 38% discount codes to veterans so that they can experience all these tools, which we'll be talking about on this podcast and through our programs at Mission 38. So with that being said, super excited for this next chapter, and I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of insight onto why we are making the name change. Mind Medicine will have its own social media platform on Instagram, and we will still be continuing to pump out content. So make sure you follow that new platform, the 38 Challenge podcast, or the 38 Challenge platforms will now be switched to Mission 38, which will be talking about different events, different programs, and having that be only the nonprofit content, and then separating again our views and opinions of guests and PhDs and all that stuff aside from the nonprofit. So I hope that shines some light into kind of what we have going on, what we've been working on. Again, we have an incredibly exciting and powerful team. I'm so proud to have them, and just been a lot of hard work, but we're super excited to help more people than what we've been able to do. And just aside from awareness, right, be actually able to provide tangible tools that will help us eliminate suicide. Thank you guys so much. We love you all and hope that you continue to find value from this podcast.